This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, this is Professor Olson looking at your identity packages for week 2. We're going to start off with Meilani. And Meilani, you're doing Big Easy cookies. I love your icon, full of personality. It's a little cookie with a cape, looks very New Orleans. Couple of things I would say about the way this logo is working. First of all, it's fairly complex. I would love for you to figure out how to simplify it a bit. You're also adding this big oval shape behind it because of the complexity. It's really hard for it to stand out from the background. Since the cookie is sort of cookie colored and the background is cookie colored, I understand why you did that. But the goal would be to sort of figure out how to create a logo and a background that work together without this additional shape, which you don't really need. You do with this pattern, which is sort of looks like confetti and New Orleans, and it's great. You do need some clear space for the type, but for the logo, you'd want the logo to sort of stand alone. One thing I would suggest is you could take this whole logo, copy it, unify it with a Pathfinder so that's all one big shape, and then put a big thick stroke around the whole thing that gives you sort of a sticker effect, and then you have a sort of key line against the background. And you can make that a color or it could be white. But that way you wouldn't have this issue of having to add an element to separate it. Also, your type is sort of wrapped into the logo, which makes it harder to use. And you can see when it gets here in the letterhead, it's pretty hard to read. That's why I recommended in week 2, you do it like this: icon, logo type, icon, logo type. So, and brand category, you've done that pretty well. So Big Easy is the big brand name, cookies is the category. Um, you've got all the elements to work together here. You've got a great color palette. You've got an interesting pattern that's unique. You've got this sort of cookie related color. And it's starting to feel like it comes together. I feel like this green and purple need to be introduced a little more, maybe in the card and maybe somewhere on the letterhead as well, and that would help you. But you've got a good formula going. So if you keep going with that, that'll help you brand it more. All right, Jamie, you're doing Patty's Pantry. I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. If this is your logo, there's no logo type. So you need the name of your company. There we go. So it's a door. I see that now. Okay. Color palette must have 5 colors. No black, no white. So you need to add some more colors. That'll help you design your identity package, which you haven't gotten to yet. So I hope that is coming along and works out for you. All right, Kevin, Blood Orange Chocolate. You have the same sort of issue with your icon logo type. Again, if you look at what I was recommending for you guys here, these proportions too, like this size icon and that size logo type. This icon, because of the shape, you've added these additional shapes, which are fun and interesting, but it creates a very broad, open, it's more like an illustration than an icon. And when you want to create a logo, you want to create something that can be small and can be identifiable quickly. I think all the strokes in here could be much thicker and more chunky. So you can see when it gets down into the letterhead, it starts to disappear. It's hard to tell what's really going on. I really just sort of see the orange in the middle. Um, I don't know that these extra elements are necessary for your logo. You could just use this part as an effective icon. But like I said, you have to sort of chunk it up a little bit, thicken it up so that it reads better. As far as color palette goes, you've got orange, yellow, and pink, which are all analogous. I think you've got red type. You need more contrast. Probably this type should be white. Maybe rethink the pink background because yes, it all sort of goes together, but it's very monochromatic and your logo is sort of disappearing in the field there. So I would expand your color palette a little bit and see where that takes you. Next up, Christian. Odessa T, again, pointing back, icon, logo type. You've got a very complex, large icon, tiny, tiny type in relation. Odessa should be big, T, start with the word Odessa and then add the icon. This pattern that you've added is a stock pattern from Illustrator. It was created by von Glitzka. It's a great pattern. Everyone uses it. As I showed in the last live session, it's pretty easy to create your own custom pattern. So I highly recommend you do that if you're going to use a pattern at all, but I don't know that this icon, a pattern helps it. It feels like this is sort of a plant. And this is a teapot. I'm losing the imagery because of the pattern. So yeah, I think that your icon needs to be simpler, no pattern, and then Odessa T quite large. So look at that. All right, so Alana, Tortuga jelly beans, and what are we looking at here? All right, so there's your turtle. I do like it. It's monochromatic here. You could add additional colors to your logo. You've got an extensive color palette, which includes variety of hue and value. So that's hopeful, that's good. And more colors. You are into it, getting more and more colors. So that's pretty amazing. And you spec'd out all those colors. And then where did they go? Where are all those fantastic colors? I don't see them being used here. This stuff looks very monochromatic. You've got purple and this gold, and that's it. Paper color could be a color. You could add additional colors. Your jelly beans could be all different colors. This could be, instead of just monochromatic jelly beans, they could be all different colors, because that's how jelly beans are. Your logo could have a background of gold behind the turtle, something like that. Maybe your type is a color. There's so many opportunities for color. So you've got all the ingredients, you just haven't cooked it up yet. So this is well designed, neat, looking good, but make use of color. All right, Shari, Orchard, Pacific Coast Orchards. This is very reminiscent of the icon we just saw. Again, a different von Glitzka pattern in here. I would do this as a solid shape. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm looking at. All right, you don't have to use any of these color relationships for your palette. It could be something totally new, different. And then you have to think about how you're going to use it in all the elements you're going to use. The letterhead, business card, envelope. Start by designing those elements and then figure out what colors work as you do that. And then when you get done and you feel like they look good, spec the colors out. That's how I've instructed in the live session. All right, Megan, Brainiac Coffee, looking pretty good. You found a complementary sort of gold to go over the green, which creates some good contrast. Your logo is not really sort of, let's see, it's locking up here, I guess. That's the lockup. Okay. This brain image is very good and kind of interesting secondary shape, but I would knock it back a bit. Maybe it's in the green color, maybe it's something else other than black, because if you look at the overall look of everything, nothing's in black except for this. And so as a result, it really jumps out at you, which is not really how you want it to function. So I hope that's helpful. And then you'll really start to see it come together. I think this brain image could like make an appearance down here somewhere. The back of your envelope could have some more color maybe too. All right, next up, Riza. Oaxaca chocolate. You figured out the beautiful patterns of Oaxaca. You're using a lot of colors. This is very exciting and fun. I think your white background could be a color instead. When you get into these elements, you're having to ghost it back, knock it back so much to make it work. And then you sort of lose all the fun and interest of the pattern. So what you want to do is work it in a way where it can they can live together. Your icon has a super high complementary vibrating color palette, and it's really hard to see. The word chocolate is enormous. Again, I'm pointing back. Icon, Oaxaca chocolate. Do it like that. You're experimenting here. This is good exploration. But again, maybe some of these patterns live just on the edges of the letterhead or in some parts of the business card. Your logo has some clear space. Your type has some clear space. This is kind of fun with a sticker on the back of the envelope. And make full use of this color palette. The logo, this all seems very dark. I like this bright green and the gold there. Maybe those colors work into your logo as well. Could help it out. All right, Teresa, Polvorones cookies from Puerto Rico. You've got a fun color palette that seems to be working for this brand, but you don't really have good sort of secondary elements to enhance the branding. So you're just using swatches of color and a border. What else could you do? Could you use paper texture? Could you use patterns? Could you use other graphic elements? Could you pull some items out of your logo, perhaps, to give it a little more branding? All right, Kim, Granny's Secret. It's really hard to see. Overall, and I keep saying this every week, you need to place these into your InDesign presentation template, export a JPEG of those pages, and post them in the discussion. This entire screenshot of your whole desktop with the item open makes it impossible to really see what's going on and give you a fair critique. Once you place it in the InDesign file, you don't have to place it again. You just have to update it after you work on the file a bit. Let's see. Shaniqua, all right, so these are all placed in the InDesign file, but you're giving me screenshots, so please try to give me export JPEGs. Cactus cookies, I love your little cactus figure. The black background sort of overwhelms the figure and makes it disappear. The words are really hard to read. I would make cactus very big, cookies smaller, take off this black background circle, which you don't really need. It looks like he's got a guitar and I don't see the rest of the guitar, it's disappearing. So you've got a great start going here. I think the black circle is sort of killing it a bit. You need more colors in your color palette. You need to consider what the background is here, more than just a border to enhance the branding. The calligraphy type is okay. But right now it's just sort of almost monochromatic, this gold and then black. So have some fun with some color at this point. All right, Morgan, Bermuda Tea, and you've got a screenshot of just copy and paste the contents of this InDesign file into your presentation template as per the video instructions. Let's see. All right, so you ended up with a triangle with a word mark embedded in it. This color palette is okay. It's got some variety and value and hue. But now your brand is really sort of falling apart here, and you can see that because this is very traditional English tea time kind of tea, and nothing about this says that about the brand. So this is kind of way off the mark in terms of branding. Some geometric shapes sort of scrambled together doesn't make a brand, and you still got some work to do. So reread your creative brief. It's pretty hard to read here because you put a screenshot in or something. Copy and paste it in. If you can read it, it says, steeped in tradition. T provides a change of pace from ordinary, less strong, formal taste that's been missing from the market. So it's formal, traditional, T, tradition, British, royal. Nothing about what you've done creatively says any of those things. Civilized, sophisticated. Consider what kind of imagery, what you're going to do to express those words in your logo and your identity package. I hope that's helpful, Morgan. All right, Elizabeth, another screenshot of the whole thing. A little hard to read. Big Red's Texas Chili. You've got Big Reds at the tops, Texas Chili at the bottom. So your icon's sort of locked up with the icon in the middle, which makes it awkward and hard to work with. So again, look at this from week 2. You're using a gradient shape that goes from green to white or from red to white. Gradients can go from one color to another color. You don't have to go to white or black. You need additional elements to enhance your brand, more than go beyond the logo. So keep working on that. Courtney, Green Mountain Maple Candy. This logo, you've got a glow on it, which sort of muddles it a bit, makes it a little harder to see. The type is extremely thin, elegant type, but Green Mountain should be big and strong, Candy smaller. And then the gradient behind there just really sort of makes it look like you're not, it's not declarative and strong like it needs to be. So I would take that off. Review from week 2 like this. That's the way it works best. And then consider what are the other elements. Yeah, see here, even this is, you got the idea, it's stronger. I don't think black is good for this brand. It feels really out of place. You could take a dark brown color, like a maple syrup color. Maybe you could add additional elements, putting this shape around it. So you picked a background color that's the same as your logo, and then you have to put a big rectangle in it. Pick a different background color instead, and not black, because that doesn't feel very Green Mountain-ish. Yeah, so you've got a very pale, I think that's what you're reacting to. So pale green, and you go sort of like a light orange, so it doesn't show up on white. So you added this gray drop shadow. We'll pick a different stroke outline, pick a different background, make the logo the king, and everything else works around it. It's totally in your hands to change the color palette to whatever you want it to be to make it work. Because right now it's not really meeting the goal. All right, Madsen, Tupe Mate tea, which is South American rainforest jungle. Your logo lockup, it's a little awkward and different in different places. There's no type on this one. You got a good color palette going. You need additional elements to sort of brand this and place it into the InDesign file. See, like this doesn't have the name of your company with your logo. So you have to figure that out. Your logo can have more colors like it does. The sun element feels like a second logo almost. All right, Chase, Wacky Noodles. So this is a fun kid-like product. The color palette, the way you've set this up, looks very kind of adult and serious. This dark red gradient, I would look at more kids products, look at your competitors, get a feel for how sort of the visual language should be. I think you could add different colors. Again, you're working sort of a monochromatic world of all red. Consider other colors to make it have more fun, be more playful, more wacky. Just putting things in a very low opacity to put the type over it means that you need to really redesign the shape and the placement of things. Just dropping opacity on things isn't like a great design solution. You're just taking your icon and put it down here at like 60% opacity. So consider how you would really actually create different elements to show the brand. All right, so that's what we've got for today. I hope this is instructive. If anybody needs one-on-one help, you can reach out to your instructor. And I hope this helps you on your way to creating your identity package by Sunday.